PSVR2. Very excited about this. This is launch day. We've got the box here. Let's take a tour around it. You see a representation of the headset itself and the controllers. PS5 is required. We have the triangle and the circle over here. Tells us the contents: of VR headset, PlayStation VR2 Sense controller, right and left, with attached straps, USB cable for controller pairing and charging, stereo headphones, 6 earpieces, and printed materials. We have the number here, which is the item number or model number, the CFI-ZVR1. On the back, it says, "Feel a new reel. Cutting-edge performance. Enjoy 4K HDR visuals, a 110-degree field of view, and advanced graphical rendering. Quick setup. Jump straight into the action with a simple one-cable connection to your PS5 console." If anybody has any knowledge or has ever used the original PSVR, you'll know that there were a ton of cables that you'd have to attach, as well as a little breakout box to your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. If you want to know how PSVR1 works on a PlayStation 5, I have a video of that. PlayStation VR2 Sense technology. Feel real sensations and emotions with eye tracking, headset feedback, 3D audio, and highly intuitive controls. I'm interested in the headset feedback because I have the Oculus Quest 2. I think it's called the Meta Quest 2 now, and I have the original Oculus Rift, and I had the original PSVR, none of which had any haptic feedback in the headset itself, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Thrilling new worlds. Surround yourself in a new generation of genre-defying VR games. So we'll be interested to see I will be interested to see what VR games are available. I really haven't kept apprised of that at launch, what I can use, but I will be downloading something other than a demo, I would hope. So you have a representation of the headset here and the controllers. Again, this is only compatible with PS5, not PS4. So there we go. Let's get this thing open. We have an official PlayStation seal here and just a regular seal here. So let's get these things sliced open. All right, the box within a box. They do this a lot so that they can make all of the PSVR2s just like this, and then whatever promotion they have at the time, put the outer sleeve box with it. So let's see if we can get this out in a nice manner here without any destruction. Gotta be careful because this outer box probably can be ripped pretty easily. Okay, it looks like it's actually opening. The box is opening here. So, I ripped it. Ripped the bottom. There we go. All right, so looks like this seal ripped when I was trying to get it out, so that's why everything was starting to spill out of it. But not a big deal. I just keep the box for when I sell it again one day. So we have the PSVR2 instruction manual here, which I will look at later. We have the USB cable here, which I think this is the one that charges the controllers. I don't know. We'll see. Then we have a headset here, stereo headset. Looks like it fits behind the head, maybe. We'll get into that later, and that's pretty much everything in this box. Then we have the controllers here. These were the first things that were shown about the PSVR. So let's see how they fit in the hand. So you have this halo around your hand in total here. And then you have your trigger here. This is an R2. Then you have an R1 here. So you have a little bit different placement, but actually a little bit different. You'd think this would be the R1 and this would be the R2 because that's how they are on the DualSense, R1, R2, but they have them swapped here. So you have a matte black plastic here. You have a little bit of glossy around the button itself. Everything else is a matte plastic. You have the analog stick here. You have a hamburger button right there, which I think is a menu button. You have the PlayStation button there. You have your X and your O, or your cross and your circle. And other than that, everything is this matte black plastic or matte white plastic. Then you have your lanyard here on the inside, and that, I don't know if you can see it here. It shows you that that is the right, there's an R there. I don't know if you can see it. There's an R there. And this lanyard goes around your hand so you don't fling it across the room. So far, very comfortable in the hand. I like it a lot. Let's get the left version out and see how that differs. It's pretty much probably only going to differ in the button labeling, and of course that it's a mirror image of what we just looked at. And so we'll see right here is the L. There you go. Same lanyard, same buttons. This is the L2, and this is the L1, obviously reverse of the other one. You have your square and triangle. You have your analog stick here. You have, I think that's a share button there. I should know these things. Then you have another PS button, PlayStation button here. And here is your plug to charge this up. So hopefully I don't have to do much charging to play with this. The charge port on the right one, we didn't look at that, is right there at the base as well. So you could conceivably have these charging as you're using them. But there we go. Very interesting. So then we have the headset itself. First impression, it's pretty light. It's pretty light. Then on the inside of the box, nothing going on there. Get that to the side, and let's get this out. Now again, the benefit of this, one of the main benefits of this versus the original iteration, there were two versions of the original PlayStation VR. Slight differences between them, and then this is the PlayStation VR2, obviously. But the version 2 of the original PlayStation VR had a little bit different placement of cables, a little bit more refinement, but if you really weren't looking for the differences, it was difficult to tell. The main benefit here is that you have one cable to plug into your PlayStation. That's it. One cable here. And if you've ever worn a PlayStation VR headset before, the way that it sits on your head is way more comfortable because a lot of VR, they press this part up against your face, whereas all of the lifting of this is taken care of with this brim here, or this rim, actually not brim, this would be the brim, but this where it sits on your head, this circle here. You have a rubberized area back here. Feels like it's filled with air, so there's an air cushion in there that should make it comfortable. Obviously, this is the fine tuning of the tightness of the headset, and if I remember correctly, yeah, you press in on this button here so that you can pull that out, and then it'll contract to your head, and then you do the fine tuning on that. This is also sort of an air cushion, but not as much as the back. It's a rubber material, and it's got a sharp ridge here. Not sharp, I mean, it's very, this is not going to cut into your head, I would imagine. I'll put it on and let you know shortly. But it's more molded than the rear part, so there's a little bit of a corner there that you can see. But everything is very soft, and it seems like there is air in there. There's no padding under it, but it's taut to the point where whereas the back, it's almost more like a slight air cushion than the front. Where this fits around your face, you have a lot of these. It's very soft rubber, by the way, but you have a lot of these pleats here, these ribs here, that are going to allow this to accommodate different faces, because everybody has a different face, obviously, on the front, or at least, dimensions. Obviously, we're not talking about the way you look, more so just the way your head is shaped. So you have your PlayStation logo on the right and on the left as well. You have these 4 cameras, outward-facing cameras. It's going to help this know where you are spatially. And there is no need for the PlayStation camera, which was the way it was with the first iteration of PlayStation VR. All the same as the controllers in terms of the matte black, the matte white plastic, and we'll just kind of let you see what's going on here. I believe this is a button that helps extend this and bring it back. So there's a lot of adjustability to this headset, and I always found it very comfortable. Looks like this is going to bring things into focus here for you a little bit more, so you can adjust it to your preference. And let's see, we have the PlayStation symbols here, and let's see what else we have. On the bottom, it looks like there is most likely either speaker or microphone there. There's a button here, and then there's a power button here. On the back, you have what looks like where those headphones are going to plug in. So it looks like you plug in. Actually, this is the jack over here, and this is just where that plastic piece we looked at earlier in the bag is going to latch into, and then I suppose you're going to have, I think there were earbuds on it. Yeah. So we'll look into that shortly. So I took my tape measure and literally measured it. It looks like the cord is roughly 14 feet in length. So that's going to be sufficient for most scenarios, I would imagine. So this is my postal scale that I use. And let's see how much this weighs. 1 pound, 3.6 ounces, 1 pound, 3.5 ounces. So not very heavy. What that translates to, if you're not in America, is 19.5 ounces or 552 grams. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, actually on camera here, let's get this squared away, because I believe I know how to do this without really looking into the directions too much. It looks like we have this headset piece. Again, one side just hooks in, and the other side actually connects it. That's your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Then you have your little earbuds here that just kind of hang right off of it. So let's install this. Also, before I do that, we can look at the little rubber pieces, because again, everybody is different, so your ears are going to be different, so you have some options to put this on the earbuds to make it more comfortable for you. I may end up using just the Pulse headset, depending on how it fits on here. I don't know if I want that much gear on my head. We'll see. But let's put this in here. There we go. So, very nicely thought out. You have the earphones that go in there. One of the things about the original PlayStation VR is that, at least the first iteration of it, they kind of fixed it a little bit on the second iteration, but on the first iteration, there was a lot of strain on the headphones because it was actually plugged into the cord down the line, so it was easy to pull those out of your head. As you can see, the earbuds, they added a little bit of weight They added a little bit of weight on there. So 1 pound, 4.1 ounces, or 4.2 ounces, 20.2 ounces, or 570 grams. So we're going to see what this knob does to these lenses. So you can see the lenses there, and I'm just going to move them so you can see that that moves the lenses apart from each other. So there's a lot more customization that you can do on this than you can do on the Oculus Quest. Because the Quest 2, it only has 3 settings for how far apart your eyes are. So this is a little bit more customizable. Again, you have this little flap for your nose. It's a very, very thin rubber, so hopefully it's not going to bother you too much. And again, this is a very thin rubber too here. I'll let you know what it feels like after using it, but like I said, it's one of the most comfortable VR headsets that there is out there. And you can see that there's actually two areas here where your nose can go in. And a lot of this is to block out the light, the ambient light in the room, because the more you can do that, the more immersed you're going to be in the experience. So I had a chance to take a look at the manual a little bit, and we're going to get the proper terms for everything on here. So, first of which, we have the scope adjustment button. This button moves the scope, this is called the scope, forward and back. We showed that to you earlier in the video. Then we have a vent in the front of the, right here is a vent in the front of the scope. You can probably see it right there and right there. Obviously there's some high-powered electronics in this that work in conjunction with your PlayStation 5, and it needs to be vented, especially because you're dealing with something that's on your face. You don't want it to get hot. And in addition to it getting hot, you're going to be giving off heat as well. So you need a vent for that. This is called the headband here. This is the lens adjustment dial. We went into that earlier. All the cameras on the outside here, the 4 separate cameras, they are called tracking cameras. Back here, this is the rear headset support. The accordion style rubber area here is the light shield. As we kind of touched on earlier, it blocks out all the ambient light in the room. Right up here, this is the front head support here. Then there is a sensor right there, and that is the attachment sensor. So that tells the PlayStation 5 when this is on your head and when it is off of your head, because it can tell. Back here is the headband adjustment dial, and this is the release button. Now, one thing I didn't know, and it was on the original iteration of the PlayStation VR, is that these little rubber areas in here are to put your headphones in. So when you're not using them, you put your headphones in there so they're not swinging around, and that's a good idea because you don't want them swinging around. And depending how close this back piece is, it might hit your lenses. Now, you do have the rubberized portion on the front, but you do have a glossy white plastic on the back, so that could actually do some damage there to your lenses, conceivably. I mean, I don't know for sure, but as you can see, they can touch. So we'll just store those away in there. And those are actually called the earpiece holders. Then on the bottom here, we have the power button, the function button, the microphone as we touched on earlier, and under here is a power indicator. So you can't really see it now. There's a little area there. That's a power indicator. It tells you when the headset is on, obviously. And the power indicator on the controller is right there, and it's on both controllers. So the next thing I'm going to do is fire this up for the very first time, but this video is running long, so I'm going to make a second dedicated video for that, and then also give you my first impressions. So that's going to do it for this one. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And as always, if you want to help out this channel, you can give me a thumbs up. You can share this video on your favorite social media, or you can actually join my Patreon, all of which is greatly appreciated. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.